Good Friday and welcome back to the Draft Rankings Show. Today we're going to be talking about the 2026 wide receivers and my rankings coming out of the NFL Combine. I've talked a little bit about what they were going in, how I saw these wide receivers tightly graded together, and I got a little flack for that on the Twitters. And it's hard for people to kind of understand the fact that a lot of these guys had similar grades. There's a lot of question marks around a lot of these wide receivers when you think about Jordan Tyson and Mekhi Lemon and Casey Concepcion and Carnell Tate, even that top group, there's a lot of holes that can be poked in what those guys can and can't be. Please click that like button. Please click subscribe if you're here for the first time. If you're not, please click that like button. Of course, you can get the podcast on the Draft Rankings podcast feed every single morning, the day after it streams live on YouTube at 7 p.m. on the Draft Rankings show. I appreciate each and every one of you that do tap in through this draft process for the second year on this channel. You can find all my stuff over at rosterwatch.com, from my rankings to my mock drafts to my big boards, et cetera, as well as some more shows. We're talking the fantasy realm of the conversation. We had some fallers, we had some risers at the wide receiver position during the combine. I guess the most notable faller so far has been Malachi Fields, wide receiver from Notre Dame. Had a good Senior Bowl. But the thing I had to remind myself was, man, nobody else in my top 10 at the wide receiver position was at the Senior Bowl. It was just him. He was the only one. So he falls down quite a bit. And he's side by side now with a guy named Jacoby Lane from USC who was at the Senior Bowl with him. It was fine, but I just couldn't get over the lean frame that he brought to the table. And he was okay at the Senior Bowl, but he impressed me very much at the NFL Combine. We do grading on field workouts. Everyone always says, well, why you run the 40? I don't worry about the 40 is the 40, but for wide receivers and running backs, it's really dependent on the frame and what their abilities are. At wide receiver, it's really not that important. What I look for, what we do at rosterwatch.com, is grade every single route. So when you watch them on TV, run the gauntlet, and you're watching the quarterbacks throw to these receivers, we're watching every single receiver route in the stadium, grading everything Mekhi Lemon does, everything Zachariah Branch did, everything Kevin Coleman, Jerry Roberto, everything they did, every route they ran, we graded it. And the top of the food chain was Mekhi Lemon, Casey Concepcion. But Jacoby Lane had a very good day. He was the sixth highest graded wide receiver for us, and one of the better base route scores that we had on the day. After Zachariah Branch, Mekhi Lemon, Casey Concepcion, it was none other than Jacoby Lane. So big day for him. He rises up a little bit in the rankings near the top 10, but not quite to the top 10 for me. Let's get cooking with it. At number 10 is going to be Georgia State wide receiver Ted Hurst, 6'3", 208 pounds. He ran a 4.42 at the NFL Combine, which shocked us a little bit. We thought he was going to be a little closer to like that low 4.4s area, like 4.47, 4.48. He runs high 4.4s, 4.42. 20-year-old breakout, 2.42 yards per route run, dominated at Georgia State. This guy's going to bully you in the run game. This guy's going to run through you, trying to get downfield. The comps that I came through with were in line with like a Traquan Smith, Michael Gallup, that Josh Palmer type. Like, he's going to be a very underrated and underspoken about number 3 option when you have an alpha slot. Like, he's not going to be your prototypical Z. Like, he's not going to be your Carnell Tate, T. Higgins, what George Pickens kind of is to your CeeDee Lamb, things like the Jordan Addison. Like, he's not going to be your prototypical 2. What he's going to be is that 3. He's going to be that piece that is, think about what, this is going to sound odd because it's a different explanation, but think about what Tyler Boyd was for the Cincinnati Bengals, right? I know you have T. Higgins on the outside, Jamar Chase on the outside, but think about when they put Chase in the slot instead of Boyd, and then they put Boyd and he was on the other side, and you had T. Higgins as the X, like in that role. So he's like that third dude that's really talented, but I don't think he's ever going to break through as a pure number 2 outside or an X, but he does bring the athleticism, and he's a fun guy to watch, and he's a great kid. Number 9, I got Elijah Surratt from Indiana. I've been really wishy-washy on Surratt. He did not run at the NFL Combine, but that's okay. Like, I think what really came away from me with Surratt was just rewatching the tape and reevaluating the player in a context of like a frame or a body type that I've always struggled with, which is this guy that's like 6'2", 210, isn't really a great separator, but catches well at the contact point. A dog, and a guy that just wins and consistently wins. And he transferred from James Madison to Indiana with Curt Cignetti, played there with Omar Cooper, who's going to be ahead of him right now in the rankings. But Elijah Surratt grew a little bit for me after rewatching, after talking to him at the Combine. I'm impressed with him. Again, for me, it's really tough. For me, it's like, is he Xavier Hutchinson, or can he be a Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua type? Because that's really what he is. It's like, which end is he going to be? Is he going to be a wide receiver 4 or 5 on your roster, or is he going to be the guy that just like, he just has it up here to where he's going to push through that ceiling and become a really underrated number 1 for somebody? I know that's a maniacal expectation, but that's the 100th percentile. Jeremy Bernard comes in at number 8 from Alabama. He is by way of Washington with Kalen DeBoer, 6'1", 206, runs a 4.48, a little bit quicker than we expected. He's at number 8. Omar Cooper, teammate of Elijah Surratt, comes in at 7 from Indiana, 6 foot, 199. A lot of people pushing his name into the first round lately. I'm just not quite there on that helium, but I do have him coming in as wide receiver 7. My comp got a lot of traction on Twitter the other day. Parker Washington is my comp for Omar Cooper. Some people hate it. Some people love it. Some people tell you cockamamie. Some people say, "What, have you even watched him?" I said, man, I loved Parker Washington. Parker Washington was a dog coming out of Penn State. If you don't remember, if you don't know, now you know. Dude broke his foot coming out of Penn State. He was going to be drafted much higher than he was. Cooper is a super talented wide receiver. He comes in at number 7. One of my favorites in the class, Zachariah Branch. Again, another guy, like, there's only a few comps for a guy like Zachariah Branch. Like, when you turn the tape on for him as a freshman, it looks like you're watching, Tavon Austin at West Virginia. He's been training with Tyreek Hill for the last 3 years. I've talked about it on multiple shows. Like, he's one of only a few human beings, Tyreek Hill, Malachi Tony at the Miami Hurricanes right now, and Branch, who have like these rubber ligaments in their knees where they just bend in routes full speed. And people say, how can you say XYZ about his route running when 41% of his routes were behind the line of scrimmage and 51% were screens, and he's not a good route runner? Well, I'll tell you what, both Alex and I independently graded all the routes of the Combine, and he's a good route runner. He's not some shit route runner that is inept and can't do it. So I don't know what you're watching if you don't think this guy can run routes, but you need to go back and watch it some more. So those are the conversation points. He's 177 pounds. That's the biggest question mark. He ran a 4.35. The big 5, I think Zachariah Branch should be in this conversation. Big 6. Big 5 for me comes down to this. Denzel Boston. I'm a big fan of Denzel Boston. I just don't think the ceiling is as high as these other 4 guys. Boston comes in at number 5. Jordan Tyson. Everybody knows the injury history with Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. He did not test as well at the NFL Combine, nor did he run. Boston did do his routes, but Boston also did not run. Tyson did not run, did not do routes. Number 3 for me, this is really tough. So this big 3, for me, it's a big 3. I love these 3 quite a bit. As it stands right now, number 3 for me and number 2 are just neck and neck. Like, they are side by side as far as how I perceive their speed, has their size came through, the same arm length, like the same height, the same weight, everything. Mekhi Lemon's got the better yards per team pass attempt. He got the better yards per out run just by a hair. Casey Concepcion has the better breakout. Like, it's tight. I have Lemon 3. I have Casey Concepcion 2. And then I have Carnell Tate at number 1. I've said if Casey Concepcion runs low 4.4s, like if he's like a 4.43 guy, which I think shows up at times, I'm just not quite sure he's that guy. That's going to be enough for me to bump him number 1. I think Concepcion has an extremely high ceiling, as I do think Mekhi Lemon does. The only thing I worry about with Carnell Tate is I've comped him to George Pickens from Ohio State, Carnell Tate from Ohio State. And he's 6'2", 192, and I'm not worried about his speed at all. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, you can name all the guys that have played really well in that Z flanker X role. Carnell Tate's going to do that, and he's going to win. He's going to be just fine. But I'm looking for ceiling, and with ceiling, I see this Alpha X build that I see in Concepcion and Lemon that I absolutely love. And I'm really close. I'm this close to putting Concepcion at number 1, and I think Mekhi Lemon will be right behind him. So I could see a shift in the next couple of weeks if I'm convinced to drop Tate to 3 and that would put Casey Concepcion as my wide receiver 1 in 2026.